Hi, I'm Dennis Felco, founder and CEO of OutBüro and creator and moderator of OutBüro on LinkedIn that's been around now for 11 and a half years as of the time of this video recording, and has of today over 46,000 global members. Very proud of that. I've built that 100% voluntarily on my time, my funds, and so forth. Barely a handful of days over the last 11 years has there been a day where I have not been actively working inside of that LinkedIn group to hone it and make sure that it stays on course, and that is why it has a high amount of engagement and participation. And pardon me, you are tuning into this likely because you are an employer of some type. You are either a person, an entrepreneur of one, and you're wondering, you know, what is OutBüro and what can it do for me? Maybe you have a couple employees, say, you know, 15, 16 employees, or you're an employer of 500, 1,000, 5,000, 50,000, 200 or so thousand employees. That is a key thing about OutBüro, is that it is for all employers, all types of employers. So let me clarify that for you. And by the way, I'm going to talk more about the actual features for you as an employer and having your listing on OutBüro in the next feature. So I'm going to try really hard not to get into the nitty-gritties of features in this particular video. Here I'm wanting to talk about kind of the high levels of what is OutBüro, why OutBüro, how you can utilize it for to benefit your organization and your brand. Let me just say it is pronounced OutBüro. Bureau with the umlaut, which is the two dots, for those of you who do not know, is German for office, so out office. Also, of course, you know, hearing the word OutBüro, you can think of news desk, reporting, and so forth. So wanted, you know, an English / an American word, as well as a more European-based word. And I happen to have lived in Germany, serving with the U.S. military and as a Department of Defense civilian for about 5.5 years. And so that's why I chose that word. Also, nice and short and sweet URL so that you can type it in very quickly and get to it. Getting back to who it's for, it's for any employer, any size, anywhere in the world. So let's talk about first types of employers, okay? So you could be a for-profit entity of any size, again, 1 or 3 people, all the way to, you know, a huge organization with 200, 250, 300,000 employees globally. The platform, as it grows and adapts, will be trying to fit all different levels, and we'll be honing it to try to tailor the interface based on the size of the organization as well as we move forward. So it's a fairly new site in that it's about 1.5 years old. Really has having come over some technical difficulties that I was having and had to bring in a developer for earlier this year. Over the last 3 months, as of this taping, had all that accomplished, and has really been honing the site in the vision and getting it down to something of value for both the employees as well as the employers, you. So hopefully after this dialogue and learning a little bit more in the next video, that you will get an overview of the current set of features for you as an employer. My goal for this is to convey my intent And I'm always open to constructive feedback on how to make it more useful and beneficial for you. So when you're looking at it, if you have ideas and you think things should be, done this way or that way, or added additional fields for input and so forth, please let me know. Contact me through our support contact form. Once you get to know me a little bit, shoot me a direct email or something, and let me know what your thoughts are. Again, providing constructive feedback for us to make the system more effective for you, because it's for you. I mean, it's predominantly geared for the employees. Okay, and I'm sorry about that. The light keeps going off. It's a little distracting for me, but I don't want to turn it off. So hopefully, just laugh at it or something. So as an employer, again, getting back to that, you can be a for-profit company. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a nonprofit, you can be a political action committee. That's what we call here in the United States, a political action committee, a PAC. A nonprofit, you can be a government entity, a federal, state, national, state, county, province, state, province, county, regions, city level government, and so forth. And then within that, for example, I happen to live in the Fort Lauderdale area, so I've already added the city of Fort Lauderdale. I'll be adding the police department, fire department, the education department, and so forth. So think about that, and think about all the potential employees out there who are affected. So any organization of any size, and any type as well. Also anywhere anywhere on the planet. So this is not limited to the United States, or to England, or India, or Australia, or Japan. It's everywhere. Some of our future features will be making it multilingual as well. Again, I'm going to try not to get into features. I have a really bad habit of doing that. So just a little bit about the whys. How did this come to be, and why is it important for me and important for you and your employees? There are several employer/corporate equality indexes around the globe. From what I have seen and from what I have gathered from various sources, my perception is, and I don't believe I am incorrect, and I happily accept additional information, but they are all focused for the most part on the Fortune 1000 level. Now, obviously, I would love for all of the Fortune global and country Fortune 1000 level organizations to join and participate in OutBüro as well. But here's the thing, just looking at the United States where I live, the Fortune 1000 level companies employ approximately 8% of the US population. What about the other 92%, right? Granted, I understand why the entities that have taken on the Fortune 1000, I understand why. I truly do. Because it is when politics and laws are not moving fast enough, you can still create, protections and so forth for people through their employer. So I get that. Totally 100%. And I applaud all of those organizations out there who have been working with the Fortune 1000, because I know it is not easy. My past clients for 13 years were Fortune 1000 level, and I did, kind of change and process consulting in and around taking old processes to new processes and then implementing the systems to support those new processes. And so I totally understand how difficult that is. You know, but you know, at the same time, you know, focusing, you know, for, you know, 5, 6, a decade, years on only the Fortune 1000 has left, you know, 92+% of not only the US population, but even more across the globe, you know, kind of just out there floating, right? Just who's paying attention to them? And that's where OutBüro, that I, and creating OutBüro, kind of, you know, predominantly have seen the opportunity, and that there's a huge, vast void of an opportunity for all employers to be able to share what they do in the realm of LGBT inclusivity and creating a welcoming and belonging environment. One of the things I like to share, and I use it as an example pretty often, is while I was living in Clearwater, Florida, there was a small Mexican baker about 2 blocks from where I lived. And I love their pastries. They're absolutely phenomenal. So I went there about once a week and, you know, got friendly with some of the staff. And one of the staff were clearly gay, one of the flamboyant ones. So, you know, but you could just tell that he loved his job. He absolutely loved everyone that he worked with. They loved him. And, you know, nothing at all wrong with that. Now, they probably employed, you know, in and around 12, 13 people or so. And, you know, a company of that size, you know, probably didn't have an official, you know, discrimination policy. They most likely definitely didn't have transgender inclusive healthcare benefits and so forth. So, you know, under the current kind of, you know, measurements, they would be dismally scored. You know, they'd be like 0, even if they responded to, you know, the surveys. But OutBüro, you know, yes, we want you to have those policies and procedures and benefits and all of that stuff, especially as you're a larger organization. But, you know, even small companies, even though they don't have those in place, they can still be an incredible place for an LGBTQ person to go to work and thrive. All right? So OutBüro, that employee can come on to OutBüro, add that employer for free. That employer could, if they choose, claim their listing or add their listing themselves and take advantage of all the features, and still have a positive review on OutBüro. So just kind of clarifying a little bit about, you know, why and how. Now, again, as I mentioned, over 11 years ago, I started the first LGBT group on LinkedIn, and that was before that they had the, you know, click the, you know, blue button to start a group. Didn't exist. I actually had to contact on my own. I contacted LinkedIn and, you know, had about 2 weeks worth of email interchange with them, and you know, basically volunteered to moderate the group, and they started it and assigned me as the moderator. And I've also, for several years, have been involved at least in a passive capacity, and most recently with OutBüro, starting, you know, to post in about 5 or 6 groups on LinkedIn for diversity and inclusion professionals, and that represents, you know, I'm sure there's some, you know, overlap there in the various groups, but it's, you know, represents in and around 60,000 diversity and inclusion professionals around the globe. So between my, you know, LinkedIn LGBT professional group and the diversity and inclusion groups, you know, I kind of get a lot of information. And over the years, I've had individual people contact me. I get a couple times a month. People in my group will contact me asking me for help, advice, and so forth. And all of that ranges from people seeking asylum, you know, who do they, you know, how do they go about it, and I try to direct them. Business owners, both in the United States and around the world, will contact me for information, you know, about seeking funding for their business and all of that. But I've also have had people contact me and say, you know, wow, I work for such and such company. They reached the, you know, 100% score on the, you know, such and such equality index. And after that score, you know, was reached, management backed off, funding backed off. And all of a sudden, you know, all the top management who were so focused on, you know, that, you know, now is off on the next big project. You know, and I get that. I get that. But, it left the employees feeling a little disenfranchised. So, you know, caused them concern and a little bit of like, you know, whoa, you know, WTF, what happened, right? So, you know, and as a company, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We all do it. We grow and we make mistakes and so forth. So I also want to be very, very clear. I don't expect any company to be perfect. I'm not perfect. How can I expect you to be perfect? You know, it's just, we're human, and companies are made of humans. So that gets me to a next point as to why OutBüro is so important. Now, coming up here in December of 2019, the U.S. Supreme Court is supposed to hear a case and possibly vote, which I hope they'll vote positively on making LGBT discrimination in the workplace across the entire United States illegal. Wonderful. I hope it happens. However, to remind you, we have had sexual harassment laws on the federal and state books since 1978, and federal, and then most states followed within 1 to 2 years of that. If you employ more than, say, 500 people, your organization likely has a sexual harassment policy. You likely have training. You likely every year have to have your employees take sexual harassment training and reaffirm, whether it's electronic or on paper, that they know that sexual harassment will not be tolerated in the workplace. Okay? However, turn on the news almost weekly. It's really sad. How many cases of sexual harassment right here in the United States, almost on a weekly basis, makes prime news. Now, if sexual harassment has been illegal for 40 years, and almost every, call it at least 80% of all employers in the United States has all of those procedures that I just mentioned, and likely you have those, and you likely, over the course of the year, have, depending on the size of your company, sexual harassment issues come up. But that was 40 years ago. How come that's happening? Okay, so although having these policies and benefits are absolutely amazing, and I applaud you for that, and I hope the Supreme Court will be making it illegal across the United States and stop this patchwork that we have, because in over 50% of the United States right now, LGBT citizens are not fully protected. So I hope that happens. However, if we just take sexual harassment and the 40 years that has taken, boy, that's really distracting. Sorry about that. If we take that, then it's going to be decades, or at least I hope it won't be. And I hope OutBüro will be a mechanism to help speed the process of true equality, where LGBT employees will feel welcomed and so forth in their space. Here is the caveat though, or I guess the issue is, let's say you're an organization of 10,000 employees. Wow, that's a lot of people, right? God, if you're an organization of 50,000, 100,000, or 200,000, just think of even more of the complexities, all right? And here's the thing, is that you're employing people. People come with lifelong, learned, ingrained mindset, learned from their parents and their environment, all right? So when they come to work, you might have all this fantastic, you know, policies and benefits and training and LGBT sensitivity training and so forth. But you're trying to unlearn, you're trying to take those employees and erase a lifetime potentially of prejudice that has been built over time. That's really tough. People just don't switch that off. You know, just like when sometimes people will say, oh, well, I'm not racist. Oh, but then you hear the next thing out of their mouth 5 minutes later. It's like that. Or they don't, you know, they say, oh, they don't do sexual harassment, but then something falls out of their mouth that makes you go, wow, I just can't believe you said that. So take that in that I understand that when you are working on LGBTQ equality and creating a welcoming environment, you as an employer, I applaud you, because you have a very, very tough job. You are trying to create the precedent and the intention of the company, but you have all these people who work for you who bring their discrimination, their prejudices, and their baggage to work with them. And you are asking and training them and hopefully giving them enough, you know, negative incentive that they're going to realize they need to clamp it, keep it shut, keep it to themselves, or, you know, walk out the door. You know, it's tough. But OutBüro can be a mechanism for you to get feedback. Again, not getting, I'll talk a little bit about it. I need to move forward because I've already been doing about 22 minutes here, but I wanted you to understand that I understand and I get it's a tough job. So let's talk about how you can utilize OutBüro with all that information, how you can utilize OutBüro to benefit your organization, no matter how large you are, what type of entity you are, or where you are in the world. Okay, let's get started. Employer branding. What you're going to see in the next video as we break down the features is that it is a place for you to consolidate all of your branding messages to your LGBT current employees, prospective employees, and oh, by the way, also your customers, because your customers will see it. There's one company I added to the site about a month ago. They're an online retail company, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's like 5, 6, 7 hits a day, which for right now is a lot. And I was curious about that. Pardon me. So I was curious about that, and I think it's because people are coming in because they are an online retailer, and I think it's potential customers looking for reviews about that company. Well, as employees start rating that company from an employee perspective, potential customers are also going to see those ratings by the employees. And you know, people like to do business with organizations that they can, you know, identify with. So having a presence on OutBüro and putting your best foot forward on OutBüro not only can be beneficial in your employer branding, it also can be beneficial in your customer branding as well. All right, so employer branding. That is one of the main features, the main kind of OutBüro for you. Now, it's also about review monitoring. Now, you won't be able to, edit what a reviewer says, but you'll be able to flag a review if for some reason you feel it needs to be brought to my and future employees' attention to review for potential moderation. You will be able to, when you claim or add your listing so that you are controlling the content, what is representing your company, you'll be able to have you will have a contact record, and you'll be able to anonymously interact with the reviewers. It will also be a timely pulse on your state of LGBT inclusivity. The reason I say it's a timely pulse is because once someone makes a review, bam, it's instantaneously online. Secondly, is a reviewer can review, an employee can review your organization every 4 months on their own unique timeline. So let's say you're an organization of 100, to keep math simple, 100,000 employees. For simple math sakes, please don't try to, oh, is it really 10% of the population? Again, simple math here. So let's say 10% of your employee base are LGBT, whether they're out at work or not. So let's say 10%. So that's 10,000 employees. So as each of those employees come on board and you make it known that you are on OutBüro, and although you don't incentivize them to leave you a rating, you make it known you are on OutBüro, you embrace it, you hope that they will, rate you in whatever capacity that they see fit, etc. So as each person is rating you potentially as frequently as every 4 months, as your company makes improvements or has an incident and falls behind, you're going to see your rating go potentially up or down based on that. So it's a timely pulse for you. Okay. Also, in this, you are able to demonstrate your active recruiting of LGBT employees. Even for other indexes around the globe, they're wanting to see that you are actively recruiting and so forth. You're also able to show off and consolidate your LGBT diversity inclusion messaging, as I kind of just mentioned earlier, with text linking, social proofing, not just saying that you have a transgender inclusive healthcare benefits, but actually linking to your website where that is stated publicly. And so most of the fields on OutBüro, you're able to social proof. Very important, because it's not just you saying it, or it's not just some, report saying that you have it. You're saying it, you're showing it, you're proving it. Very important. Also, you're able to annotate your political contributions at a city, county, state, and a national level. So very important, both your political contributions to known pro-LGBT political candidate, political folks, as well as anti-LGBT. And, you can not only indicate that you do donate to anti-congressmen, anti-LGBT congressmen and so forth, but then explain why. Sometimes you have to do business and or grease the palm of politicians that you really don't necessarily agree with all of their stances on everything, but because of the position that they're in, and you have to deal with them. All right, so it's okay. We all have to deal with people and so forth that we don't like, or we would rather not like, we'd rather not do, but we have to because of our job or whatever, because they're a relative. But just give a proactive statement as to why that was important to the company and how that benefits your organization, and then therefore how it benefits your employees and your customers, okay? So, I'm not here to beat you up over, donating $2.5 million to anti-LGBT congressman's AT&T, but I know they're probably sitting on, the committees that affect your business. Okay, you can't control that person is still in that position of power and influence. You have to do it. I get it. But then you also have the opportunity to proactively explain yourself on OutBüro, and also annotate right next to it the positive things that you are doing. And the entire record is about that, okay? So, it's just reality. None of us can just deal with, unicorns and rainbows our entire career and be successful. Sometimes we have to deal with organizations and people and entities that, again, don't always follow our core value, but we still got to deal with them. All right, so just explain it proactively, and OutBüro is your space to do that. And I recommend that as soon as you know that those donations or whatever are happening, come to your OutBüro record and make a statement here. Get in front of the conversation before all the reporters and LGBT rights activists and so forth try to rip you a new hole, right? So you can say, oh, I've already disclosed that on OutBüro. Right here. Okay, let's move on. We also have the ability to, we want you to include your LGBT inclusive marketing, and that is customer facing marketing, indicating, the months in which you market, giving links to, video and uploading images of your, print media and so forth, so that a whole picture is seen. Also looking at your sponsorship. So, what LGBT nonprofits do you sponsor? What LGBT-owned businesses do you sponsor? And then also, who sponsors you? Perhaps you're a small organization, like some friends of mine that I have. I'll say who they are. I'll give them a shout out. Debt Free Guys, debtfreeguys.com. They run a personal finance blog for the LGBT community. They are sponsored by some outstanding financial institutions like Prudential, Mass Mutual, and Citibank. Yay, all of you. Thank you for that. And so those organizations can indicate that they sponsor Debt Free Guys, and then on Debt Free Guys record, they can indicate who sponsors them. So it's a cross-reference opportunity. It's a kind of a little bit of a check and balance there. So that goes both ways. Also, you're able to indicate whether, if you're an organization and you are seeking funding, whether you are, there's multiple types. Again, I'm going to get into the features later in the next video. Different kinds of funding that you're seeking, grants, loans, venture capital, sponsorship, etc. And as an organization, if you have funding, if you have grants available, if you provide small, business loans, if you provide sponsorships, donations, all the various things. Again, I'll talk about that next. But on both sides of the fence, whether you need or seeking funding or whether you have funding, you're able to indicate that on your record. And with that, we'll be adding search features so that if you're an organization, you could search for a new nonprofit or a new small business to support, and vice versa. If you're a nonprofit or a small business looking for funding, you can then search organizations that have it available. So also being able to, that's a way to say thank you when you indicate who is sponsoring you. You're indicating that publicly. You're also helping that organization with their branding image in the LGBT community, letting folks know. Again, you're going to be able to flag reviews if something comes up. We do have guidelines on reviews, and there is, prior to this, if you'd like to go look at the video that I did about reviews, we have guidelines on reviews, on what to do, what not to do. There is a user guide plus a 30-minute kind of voice, overview about the reviews, the do's and don'ts and the whys and the hows and so forth. Now, most of you should know by now, there's incredible benefits to being LGBT inclusive. Not only are you providing a welcoming space for your employers, but what that does for you. And again, there's many studies about this. I wrote about a few on my website, so go check out, just search benefits and it'll pop up. I'll probably put a link, below this as well, just for ease. But there's so many benefits, and studies have shown that when organizations, no matter what size they are, focus on inclusivity and creating a welcoming space for all their employees, magic and miracles begin to happen, because people are able to bring their authentic self to work. They are able to, feel that their ideas are welcomed, that they don't have to hold anything back. Communication is improved. When you have happy employees, that creates a positive experience for your customers and your clients. Then you get repeat business. That leads to more money. Yay, more money in your pocket, more money for your shareholders. Everybody wins. So it's a love fest. So focus on it and utilize the OutBüro platform to help you get your messaging out in a consolidated platform, as well as getting that pulse on how you're doing and taking it back. And I did say this in the last video, and I'll say it right here now if I haven't already. And you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Your organization isn't perfect. We all make mistakes. We all make blunders. We make errors. That is not what defines us. It's not what defines me. It is not what defines you. It is what we do with that. Because success is not in of itself the end goal. It's what you learn from your mistakes and your failures is where you actually gain the most knowledge on how to move forward and thus become successful, or become the best organization that you can be. So you're going to have blunders. Again, you're getting back to the humans that you employ. Value. Let's talk a little bit about value right here. OutBüro is priced on an annual subscription basis. We actually have an ambassador program where, if you as an organization, whatever that means, whether you're an individual or a company of 3 people or a nonprofit, perhaps a political action committee, or let's even say a chamber of commerce or a community center, let's say, if you have contacts in the business world and you sign up on the OutBüro Ambassador Program, it is an affiliate marketing system. Not essentially, that's what it is. So it's a very transparent system. A whole document on that. I'm going to have a whole video on that, so I'm not going to get into it all now. But you have the ability to earn a percentage of the annual subscriptions for those employers that you bring on board to OutBüro. And it's not just the first year, it's every year that they maintain their subscription. So it's a way to create immediate income and residual income that you can bank on. So it's great for organizations that are looking to supplement or increase their revenue for whatever reasons those are. And again, we're going to have a whole video on that. But let's get back to the value. Now, again, as I mentioned, I own LinkedIn owns, but it's kind of a weird thing. I own LinkedIn's largest LGBT professional networking group, 46,000 plus global members. Did you know that through LinkedIn Marketing's platform, you could actually send a marketing email to every single one of my group members that I have worked for 11 years to cultivate and keep? Yeah, you can. It costs 50 cents a person. So at 46,000 members, if you wanted to send to all of them, it will cost you $23,000. Wow. I wish I was priced that high, but I'm not. I'm about half that for an organization over 30,000 employees. And I kind of cap it there for now. Things may change, who knows. But, so for a fraction of what you could send every one of my LinkedIn group members one email, for a fraction of that, you could build your entire LGBT employer branding on OutBüro and get all the benefits that are associated. For example, posting articles on the site. So it's not just about your listing. When you are a subscriber, you also then can post content. So on posting content, those could be employee focus. It could be highlighting a customer. It could be highlighting you at Pride somewhere. The field is open on what you can post. I'd like it to remain, LGBT centric. Don't post, if you work for NASA, please don't post on OutBüro, your new rocket system and its propulsion, capabilities, not appropriate. So keep it focused, but other than that, if it's LGBT centric, highlighting what you're doing as an organization, how you're trying to improve, what strides you have made, what you're doing in a community, and all of that, that is totally welcome. So when you join OutBüro, it's more than just that one employee record. It's then listing you as the author on all that other content as well. So, kind of a one takeaway is that you will be listed eventually. You will be listed on OutBüro. Either we'll add you, an employee will add you, or hopefully you'll add yourself. At some point, there will be ratings, especially if you're a large, company. There will be ratings about you. It's your choice whether you are going to be proactive, take control of the conversation, take control over your brand, and join us and partnering to help you shine as much as possible, understanding that blunders will happen, but it's what we do with it that matters. Thank you so much for tuning in thus far, and I hope you will. I'm a little windy. Can you tell? I'm just a plain person like you, just trying to do something for my community that benefits the organizations and employers of the world, and again my community, the LGBT people of the world. But hey, I have my issues too, and one of them is I'm a bit chatty. So I'm going to end this now, and we'll see you in the next video talking more about the actual features on an employer record. Thank you so much, and I look forward to getting to know you and your organization better as we move forward in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.